Welcome to Study Session 3, Process and Stages of Audit. Introduction. The audit process needs to be systematically planned and implemented. To achieve this, all aspects of the process should be given the expected attention. In this lecture, we will discuss the stages of audit and describe what to do in each stage. Objectives. After going through this lecture, you should be able to describe the systematic stages of an audit and also be able to describe what to do in each stage. Processes involved in audit. The audit of a financial statement usually takes the following process. 1. Audit engagement. The auditor and the client usually define the nature and parameters of the audit engagement. This involves ensuring that both the auditor and the client are clear on what their role is and what their expectations are. The auditor would be aware at this stage the financial reporting requirements, the client and its funding agencies. 2. Audit planning. The auditor develops a specific plan for the audit engagement. Usually, a general audit plan is adopted with a slight modifications to accommodate any specific requirements of the client's industry, and the identified users of the financial statements. The audit plan details what steps and specific tests are to be performed in order to give the auditor reasonable assurance about the presentation of the financial statements. Planning, risk and materiality. Part of the audit planning process involves assessing risk factors of the client and setting a materiality level for profit and loss transactions and balance sheet transactions. By identifying whether risk is low, moderate or high, assists the auditor in determining what types of tests are required and the level of detailed testing required. Materiality is the process of setting an upper limit for an error or misstatement that the auditor may find during the course of audit testing. For example, if materiality is set to say 10,000 naira for profit and loss transactions, then if the auditor finds an error or errors totaling less than 10,000 naira, an adjustment to the financial statement will be unlikely to be required as the error was below materiality. Therefore, the auditor will still be able to give assurance that the financial statements were not materially misstated. Financial statements. The financial statements of the organization are made up of director's statement, balance sheet, profit and loss statement, cash flow statement, and notes to the accounts. The auditor performs testing on all areas of these financial statements and provides their opinion on these financial statements as an entirety. The preparation and presentation of the financial statement is the responsibility of the client and not the auditor, although the auditor will check the additions and calculations used in the preparation and presentation of the financial statements. Audit report. The audit report contains the opinion of the auditor based on the audit evidence obtained during the course of the audit. The opinion is whether the auditor considers the financial statements to be free from material misstatement or error, or whether they present a true and fair view of financial position and performance of the entity. Management letter. The management letter contains issues that were identified in the audit that were not significant enough to affect the material misstatement of the financial statements. These items may relate to areas of internal control procedures and other risk areas that the auditor considers necessary to be communicated to management to address. Stages involved in a particular audit assignment. In relation to a specific audit exercise, the following stages could be identified. Stage 1, background research. Stage 2, determine audit approach. Stage 3, ascertain relevant systems and control. Stage 4, document relevant system and control. Stage 5, confirm operation of systems and controls. Stage 6, evaluate operation of systems and controls. Stage 7, select and perform tests of control. Stage 8, submit interim management letter. Stage 9, select and perform substantive tests. Stage 10, select and perform restricted substantive tests. Stage 11, carry out final review. Stage 12, report to members. Stage 13, submit final management letter. Stage 1, background information. Before the commencement of the audit proper, the auditor must obtain an understanding of the following: the present condition and future prospect of the industry of which the client is operating, the past history and the present conditions and future prospects of his clients, the management and key personnel of his clients and any recent changes, the products, manufacturing and trading processes of the client and any new development, the locations of major client operations, any difficulties encountered by the client in manufacturing, trading, expanding, contracting, labor relations or financing, recent changes in law or accounting practice which may affect the client, any problems in accounting or in internal control system, possibility of any problems that may lead to audit risk, any problems in accounting measurement, for example in stock valuations or income recognition. The auditor may get information about the above by obtaining and reviewing articles and memorandum of associations, partnership agreements, and so on, visiting the client's operating premises and reviewing relevant technical manuals in order to determine the method of operation, obtaining and reviewing the organizational chart and the administrative manual of the enterprise which defines responsibilities and limits of authority, ascertaining the addresses of registered offices, other offices and factories, as well as their sizes and functions, obtaining and reviewing details of any legislation and accounting pronouncements which affect the enterprise, obtaining and reviewing copies of important agreements, service contract, loan agreements, technical service agreements, lease agreements, and so on. obtaining and reviewing extracts of minutes of meetings which have relevance to future activities of the enterprise, obtaining and reviewing particulars of accounting systems in operation, details of the books of accounts maintained and accounting documents used. Stage 2. Determine audit approach. The second stage in any audit should be to determine its scope and the auditor's general approach. For statutory audits, the scope is clearly laid down in the Companies Act as expanded by the standards of current best practice. A letter of engagement will be submitted or confirmed before the start of each audit. In addition to the letter of engagement, auditors should prepare an audit plan to be placed on the audit file. The purpose of this memorandum is to provide a record of the major areas to which the auditors attach special significance and to highlight any particular difficulties or points of concern peculiar to the audit client. The detailed audit planning, which arises from the determination of the scope of work, will entail the following. 1. Determining the audit approach to be adopted, an outline of the audit work to be carried out on each area of the client's systems and financial statements. 3. Preparing the audit program. 4. The locations of the audit. 5. Determining the number and grade of audit staff required to do the work. 6. Preparing the audit planning memorandum. 7. The timing of the work to be done. 8. A budget of time and costs. Stage 4. Document relevant system and control. The objective here is to prepare a comprehensive record to facilitate evaluation of the systems. Such record may include charts, for example, organization charts and records of the book accounts, narrative notes, internal control questionnaires, flow charts. Stage 5. Confirm operations of systems and controls. The auditor's objective here is to confirm that the system recorded is the same as that in operation. After completion of the preparation or update of the system's records, the auditors will confirm their understanding of the system by performing walkthrough tests. This involves tracing literally a handful of transactions of each type through system and observing the operation of controls over them. This procedure will establish that there is no reason to suppose that the accounting system does not operate in a manner ascertained and recorded. The need for this check arises as client staff will occasionally tell the auditors what they should be doing, the established procedures, rather than what is actually being done in practice. Stages 3 and 4, as described above, will be carried out in detail at the beginning of a new audit assignment, and the results of these stages, which will be incorporated in the permanent audit file and will be reviewed and amended each year at the start of the annual audit. As part of this annual review, further walkthrough tests will be carried out to confirm the system. Stage 6. Evaluate operations of systems and controls. The purpose of evaluating the systems is to gauge their reliability and formulate a basis for testing their effectiveness in practice. Following the evaluation, the auditors will be able to recommend improvement to the system and determine the extent of the further tests to be carried out in stages 7 and 9. Stage 7. Select and perform tests of control. Given effective controls, the objective is to select and perform tests designed to establish compliance with the system, that is, to test the controls. One of the most important points underlying modern auditing is that if the controls are strong, the records should be reliable and consequently the amount of detailed testing should be reduced. Auditors should, however, check that the controls are as effective in practice as they appear on paper. They will therefore carry out tests of controls. These are through checks as far as they are concerned with the workings of the system. Stage 8. Submit interim management letter. This will inform management about the problem areas in the internal control environment based on the examination and the test of the internal control system performed in stage 3 to 7 above. Stage 9. Select and perform substantive tests. This involves detailed tests of transactions and balances to obtain audit evidence to detect material misstatements in the financial statements. Stage 10. Select and perform restricted substantive tests. This is performed on areas that require further evidences as revealed by the general test conducted in stage 9. Stage 11. Carry out final review. The aim of the overall review is to determine the overall reliability of the accounts by making a critical analysis of content and presentation. This can be achieved by 1. Conducting analytical review procedures. 2. Using checklists to review for compliance with professional and statutory provisions. 3. Checking the financial statements for the disclosure of all material matters. Stage 12. Report to members. The report to the members is the end product of the audit in which the auditors express their opinion of the accounts. The audit report is the auditor's opinion whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement and whether they represent a true or fair view of the financial position and performance of the entity. The audit opinion may take the form of any of the following: unqualified, qualified, disclaimer, adverse. Stage 13. Submit final management letter. The final letter to management is an important non-statutory end product of the audit. Its purpose is to make further suggestions for improvements in the systems and place on record specific points in connection with the audit and accounts. The management letter contains issues that were identified in the audit that were not significant enough to affect the material misstatements of the financial statements. These items may relate to areas of internal control procedures and other risk areas that the auditor considers necessary to be communicated to management to address. Suggested client preparation. As you can see, the audit process can be a lengthy and costly one. So the more organized that you are, the more efficient and effective the audit process will be. Your organization will save both time and money if you prepare the following 2 important parts of the audit. Financial statements. as the responsibility for the preparation of the financial statements rests with the entity, and if you have the relevant competent finance staff available, then you should prepare the financial statement along with all the notes and schedules. Have this ready for the auditor at least 1 month before the audit time. Year-end work papers file. As you prepare your financial statements, you generally prepare a work papers file which holds all the supporting documents for the financial statements. But if you create your work papers file similar to the audit work papers file, then you ensure that all the supporting documentation is available in one place for your auditor. Set up your work papers file in individual sections with lead schedules which are cross-referenced back to the trial balance and financial statements. Attached to each lead schedule should be the supporting documentation or work paper which supports each amount in the financial statements. This is the type of file and appropriate audit evidence that your auditor requires anyway, and it also assists you in the presentation of the financial statements. Suggested index for the audit work papers file is as follows: A. Audited financial statements. AA. Balance sheet. AB. Profit and loss statement. AC. Trial balance. B. Cash at bank. C. Trade debtors. D. Other debtors and prepayments. E. Other current assets. F. Fixed assets. G. Trade creditors. H. Other creditors or accruals. I. Other current liabilities. J. Bank loans. K. Leases and hire purchase. L. Employee entitlements. M. Other provisions. N. Reserves, salaries and wages. P. Grant income. Q. Insurance schedules. Summary. The audit assignment could be complex and difficult if not systematically arranged and implemented. The process involved in an audit assignment include audit engagement, audit planning, planning risk and materiality, audit testing and sampling, financial statements, audit report and management letter. In relation to a specific audit assignment, stages of audit include background research, determine audit approach, ascertain relevant systems and control, document relevant system and control, confirm operation of systems and controls, evaluate operation of systems and controls, select and perform tests at control, submit interim management letter, select and perform substantive procedures, select and perform restricted substantive procedures, carry out final review, report to members, and submit final management letter. For effective and efficient audit, the client enterprise should prepare well ahead of the exercise. This is the end of study session 3. Thank you.